welcome to the Bale and Gogledd YouTube channel. Today's video just comes from a chat with Wrexham enthusiast Tom Lewis, where we talk the Wrexham takeover and all other things Wrexham. But before we go on to that, I'd just like to thank everyone who supported the site so far by sharing things and interacting with Steph. It means a lot, and if we can continue to grow, we can keep on giving out quality content. Thank you. Anyway, thanks for joining me, Tom. Cheers for that.
No problem.
Basically, the article I've been writing about was just being around at the time, being a Wrexham fan. It's obviously exciting to be a Wrexham fan at the minute. And I don't know how many times you've had to say that over the last few years, but it is an exciting time. And just going back to the takeover, probably about 6 months in now. What's it been like, the whole experience?
Yeah, you're right there, Dave. Yeah, there hasn't been too much to shout about for a while. Yeah, it's been a crazy time. There's been ups and downs on the pitch, which you expect with Wrexham, but with the takeover and stuff, you can sort of see that there's going to be some good times ahead. Hopefully that, they've already put a bit of money in, they've already tidied up the ground a little bit. So yeah, all the signs are looking good at the moment.
Well, I'm looking back, and I remember, I think I spoke to you a while back about the whole possibility of the takeover as well. And at first, I think people were a bit tentative on what they wanted to happen, a bit not too sure. But when it went to the vote, it was like overwhelming, the response they've got. Do you think that was because of the way they presented it in the meeting?
Yeah, definitely. I think the trouble was initially people didn't know who was behind the bid. All we were sort of told as members was, there's a bid come forward from well-known American or American-based potential owners, and people were sort of a bit nervous about that. In the past, we've obviously had owners which have screwed us over, for want of a better term. So yeah, initially it was a bit of a sort of nervous reaction, but as soon as we found out who's involved and like you say, the way they presented the potential takeover, it was a no-brainer in the end. They spoke so well, they spoke very passionately about what they wanted to do. So yeah, I think pretty much, I think that showed with. I think it was something like 98.8% of the people backed the takeover. So that speaks volumes, I think. I think in the end they won everyone over, and yeah, so far they've proven that they're really serious about how far they want to take the club.
Yeah, I totally agree. I watched the meeting back, and I just thought the way they spoke about things, they were just very honest. They weren't coming across as if they were coming in to change things at the club. I think they generally see it as they want to be part of a project, and that's exciting. Just going back to the initial investment, obviously they pledged the 2 million, didn't they, into the ground and the club and stuff. I was speaking to Steph Thomas, and his response to that was that sort of money can make a big difference at National League level. Would you agree with that? You look at teams like Salford and teams like that type of money can make a big difference going down the football tree.
Yeah, I mean, people who perhaps don't know too much about the lower leagues or National League or whatever, they might look at 2 million and sort of think, well, that's nothing, and it is nothing compared to, let's say, the Premier League or whatever. That is nothing to the Premier League, but like you say, you're absolutely right. 2 million is a lot of money in the National League. It really can make the difference between a team struggling in the middle part of the table or even down the bottom, and a team right up at the top challenging for the title. So yeah, definitely. I mean, a 2 million investment certainly on the playing side would go so far, especially at Wrexham. But yeah, like you say, I think the investment, I think they're hoping to invest across the board. So there's going to be investment in your training ground, in your stuff like the facilities at the ground, which is much needed as well. So if they invest wisely and invest in the right areas, which so far they have done, certainly I think things are going to improve massively on and off the pitch. Fingers crossed. Anyway, being a Wrexham fan, you're always a bit nervous about counting your chickens, but yeah, certainly they're all the signs are looking good so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. It is all looking good at the minute. And I think one of the main things that is good to link to that is the size of the club, the history of the club. That they've got almost a good starting point out. They've got a great historic stadium. They've got training facilities that they can build on, and just a great club. And I just think it's the branding they've got for it at the minute as well. Wrexham are everywhere. I just think it's almost set for them to succeed.
Yeah, definitely, 100% agree with you there, Dave. I think everything, like you just said, everything's in place. It literally just is the playing side that we need to get that right formula now. You can see the improvements across the board. Even in terms of even though they're Hollywood superstars, they're getting involved with the sponsors, and they're dotting every I and crossing every T. And like you say, if we can get it right on the playing side, which, to be honest, it's going okay on that front. We're still not quite there yet, but I think that is the final piece of the jigsaw, is the playing side. And to be honest, that is really, for football fans, that's the bit that you want to see come to fruition, isn't it?
Yeah.
You bang on with what you're saying about the club. We all know about the history, and I've been lucky enough to see some great sides at Wrexham over the years. Players like Carlos Edwards, Lee Trundle, Gary Bennett, absolute legends, and people who are well known throughout football, really. So it would be nice to see some of the glory days come back. Definitely, yeah.
Well, as it stands, if everything goes well, if they hit a bit of form in their last two before their draw last week, didn't they? 2 4-0s on the bounce. So if they can continue on that form, they're definitely knocking on the door for the playoffs at the end of the season, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. We've been there or thereabouts most of the season. And the trouble is, as soon as we look like, right, we're going to be an established team in the playoffs now, we have a bit of an unlucky defeat or whatever. But that's the way it goes in the lower leagues. It's hard to have that consistency. But yeah, I think we might just sneak in there. Whether our record against the top sides isn't that great, so whether we can actually, get a couple of good results when we get into those playoffs, I don't know. It's a lottery, like they say, isn't it? But yeah, we're there or thereabouts. The thing that's good for me is I'm confident that, no matter what happens this season, I think we're in a perfect position to either go up next season, or if we manage to find our way in the Football League, I think we'll be in a strong position to push on in the league above. So, like you say, we're in a good position. Whether we go up on that this season, I think we're going to have a bit of success, fingers crossed, in the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you'd asked maybe 12 months ago, before any of this had happened, if you'd be in the same situation, you wouldn't have expected it, really. But as you said, even next season, this year, imagine if you go up, you could be fast tracked, and you never know, do you? But still, I do agree that it's still only early days with everything, really, isn't it? So there's no rush at the minute, but I don't see why they can't make the playoffs.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, like you say, that there is no rush. There's no time limit. We don't have to say stuff like, "Oh, we have to be in League One in 2-3 years" or whatever. There's no time limit. And I think sometimes it's possibly better for teams and clubs to just grow organically and naturally rather than just rush too much. I think perhaps maybe it would do us good in the long run if we did stay down this season. But who knows? No one's got a crystal ball. But yeah, certainly it would be great to think that we could get into those playoffs. It would be bittersweet in a way, because I know what a difference the fans could make if we did make the playoffs. The fans being there would be massive, but obviously we're not going to have any fans in, certainly this season, for the playoffs or whatever. So, in many ways, perhaps it wouldn't be the biggest disaster in the world if we didn't make the playoffs. But yeah, fingers crossed, if we get in there, and the other big one, of course, is trying to keep hold of our best players. Having the owners in as we do now gives us a much better chance, doesn't it, of keeping those top players, I think.
And attracting more, I'd say, as well. I think that it's a project players will be very keen to be a part of. Just talking about with the playoff hopes and stuff, I just said, I agree that either way, I think you're in a win-win situation at the minute. It's a good time to be a Wrexham fan. But someone who might be important to dragging us to them playoffs is someone I know you rate highly, Jordan Davis.
Yeah. He's a top player. I said it. I don't like sort of saying, "Oh, I told you so," but no, a lot of people were criticising him earlier in the season, and he was being played out of position, and really, it's easy enough to sit there and watch from the outside, but a lot of us were saying, this guy's quality. If we push him further forward, he's going to really, really do well, and we were proven to be right by saying that. The guy is really talented. I think he's still only 22. This is his first season playing regular football. He's been at Brighton for a couple of years. So he's been playing mainly under 23 football, which, as you know, it's not quite the same, is it, as proper league football. So I think I've said it elsewhere. I've said this guy is going to play for Wales. I really think he will. He'll play for Wales. And he's going to be a top player. How far he goes, I don't know. I don't think there's any limit really, because technically he's one of the best players I've seen at Wrexham. His technique is absolutely awesome. And I think if Dean Keats continues to use him as the left side of a front three, or just further forward in that advanced position, I think he's going to continue to put in the performances he has, and he's been chipping in with goals as well, which is that just adds to how good he's been, really. Definitely, he's definitely a player I rate very highly, mate.
Yeah, he's definitely found his form at the right time, hasn't he? To be fair, like the other week, he did look electric. Watching the highlights from him, he looked really sharp and really powerful running past people, and as you said, really good technical on the ball. But I just say, at the minute, it looks like it's all coming together for you.
Yeah, it is. It is at the moment. We had a little blip 3 games ago. We lost 3 in a row, which I think 2 of those 3 were a little bit unlucky. But yeah, it is coming together. Other than that, and to be honest, you got to remember those 3 games were against all those teams were in the top 6. So you can almost forgive losing those games. The pleasing thing, I suppose, is we seem to be winning games against the teams we should beat, which hasn't always been the case at Wrexham. We tend to beat the top teams and lose to the bottom teams. But, I think if you win the games that you should be winning, you can't really argue too much. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It does seem to be coming together, and the players seem to know their place within the team and the system. And yeah, like I say, Jordan Davis has been key to that. I think if he stays on form, and a couple of others, I think Luke Young's been excellent all season. I really like the look of Dior Angus. I think when he plays up top alongside, a big fella like Golden Mateo, someone who can do that donkey work, do the dirty side. I think if you've got a partnership like that, I think Dior Angus does really well. So yeah, it's all a case, as with any side, as you know, mate. If we keep our top players fit for the running, I think we'll be there or thereabouts, and hopefully we'll get in those playoffs end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I hope for that too. It's something to watch as we're coming out of the end of this pandemic.
Yeah,
Tom,
definitely.
Thanks for joining me, mate. Thanks for the chat.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, Dave. Cheers.
I think do you want to call out your new podcast as well? Your Alternative Wales, is it?
Yeah, Alternative Wales. Yeah, it'd be great if you people could tune in. I've been really enjoyed doing that at the moment, and it's a bit of everything. It's not just football. It's music. It's politics. It's all sorts of stuff on there. So thanks for letting me plug that one, Dave.
No worries. Definitely everyone going to give that a watch. to describe it. It's just all you, Tom, innit? Just you, everything about you. Welsh politics, Welsh football, Welsh music.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And you know, a load of nonsense as well, which is one of my favourite things. Talking nonsense, I quite enjoy that one. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. And yeah, this week's one, seems to be going down well. We had a cameo from Agent Phillips, Wales's worst agent, so it's worth tuning in just for that. I think that's very funny.
Brilliant. All right, nice one for that, Tom.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks, mate.